Welcome to week 6 of the SEC college football season. I'm Marquis Munson with Tide 1029 and 100.9, here with producer James Hardy. What's up, James?
I'm ready for another college football weekend. Marquis, we're almost halfway through this 2017 season.
Absolutely. Week 6 is finally underway, and I know there's been a lot of talk about the SEC and how they've been performing so far this season, but we got 5 SEC games that we're going to give predictions to, and we're going to start off with the number 5 team in the country, the Georgia Bulldogs, as they travel to Nashville to face the Vanderbilt Commodores. Georgia coming off a big win in Knoxville against the Tennessee Volunteers. The Commodores, not so much big victories as well because they haven't won a game in the SEC yet. Will this be the game that they finally win, or is it just going to be another Bulldogs victory?
Now remember last year, folks, that the Vanderbilt Commodores went into Athens and spoiled homecoming in Kirby Smart's first season just about a year ago against the Georgia Bulldogs. But, I mean, y'all been seeing the Georgia Bulldogs, how well they've played, especially after they got that 1-point victory at Notre Dame in week 2. I like the momentum that Kirby Smart has brought, and the Georgia Bulldogs for that matter, have been able to build. And I like that to continue in another big rout on the road in Nashville this week.
I think this Georgia Bulldogs team looks a lot like Alabama of the SEC East, just the talent they have on defense. I think in total defense, they're number 1 in the SEC. They're number 2 behind Alabama as far as rush defense is concerned. I think this Georgia Bulldogs team is phenomenal on defense and on the offensive side of the ball. They got 2 quarterbacks, as well as Alabama has 2 quarterbacks. I just think this Georgia team is too talented. I think they're on the route to the SEC championship in Atlanta, so I'm going to go with the Georgia Bulldogs in this one. Ole Miss had a tough loss against Alabama in the past weekend, and now they travel to another team in Alabama, and that's the Auburn Tigers. You've seen Jarrett Stidham's performance last week, had a good performance against Mississippi State, and now they're going to be going up against Ole Miss in Auburn. James, do you see another big game from Jarrett Heisman Stidham, because that's what we kind of predicted.
I'm not looking for Jarrett Stidham in this case for Auburn. It's all about the defenses. You got to give credit. I know it's Auburn, but you got to give credit to what Kevin Steele has been able to do with that defense for at least giving Auburn an opportunity to be competitive in the SEC West. And Ole Miss just cannot catch a break, going from one great defensive team in Alabama into another very solid defensive team in the Auburn Tigers. And I like the defensive side of things for Auburn to dominate and for Auburn to roll down in Jordan-Hare tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah, this is definitely a different defense than we've seen from the Will Muschamp best defense that Gus Malzahn thought that he had with Will Muschamp. But I'm going to go with the Auburn Tigers in this one. Defensively, I think they're good. I think Jarrett Stidham has finally found his rhythm in the offense. And if you've seen the way he stayed in the pocket and threw the ball downfield, I think it's going to be another one of those games. If you've seen the way Jalen Hurts threw over this Ole Miss defense, you can't see, it's nothing compared to what Jarrett Stidham's going to do. I think Jarrett Stidham is a better passer than Jalen Hurts is, but not all-around quarterback. But he is a better passer, and he's going to throw the ball downfield against this Rebels defense. So I got the number 12 Auburn Tigers winning. So Auburn Tigers try to stay 4-1, so when we come there to Auburn, Alabama, we can have a good game to determine the SEC West championship. Now, speaking of the SEC West, let's move over to the LSU Tigers, who've been struggling. Lost a tough game to the Troy Trojans, 24-21. They're going to be playing a team that's not struggling because this team has been escaping with victories, and that's the Florida Gators, number 21 in the country. James, LSU, do they finally find some rhythm and some momentum as they travel to Gainesville this weekend?
If Luke Del Rio was healthy, I'd say no. But going back to Felipe Franks, Florida doesn't have much offense. Now, they did have a pretty good offensive performance last week at home against Vanderbilt in a 38-24 victory. I think LSU has a shot, more than a 50-50 shot, to go down into Gainesville, even on Florida's homecoming, and getting the W, because Ed Orgeron could use a road win about now. But, I mean, look at this Florida team this year that has pulled one out over Florida on a Hail Mary, pulled one out in the fourth quarter at Kentucky. And I'd like the Gators to do so again this week, late in the ball game, and sneak by LSU.
Yeah, even though you have Felipe Franks under center, I think he's the best option at quarterback. I don't think Malik Zaire had a good performance against Michigan. And if you don't have Luke Del Rio, I think the best option is Frank. So I think this offense is going to look a lot different with this Florida team. I know that Jim McElwain has some kind of scheme that he's going to do on the defensive side of the football as well. And I think Florida's going to come out on top with a close one here. I think LSU, I'm not going to say it's going to be a blowout game. I think LSU's going to come out there and compete, especially after that loss they had to Troy at home, 24-21 last weekend. So I'm going to go with the Florida, but it's going to be a 7 to 10 point game. Arkansas Razorbacks, South Carolina Gamecocks. James, Arkansas's been struggling so far to start the SEC, 0-1 here. South Carolina, I keep saying on these videos, they're my sleeper team, and then every time I predicted them, they've lost. So, James, am I finally going to be right on the Gamecocks? Are they finally just going to start winning the game?
This is a tough game to pick because you've got a couple of teams that are kind of at a crossroads this season. Arkansas, they got a nice home victory and out of conference play against New Mexico State. Austin Allen got 3 touchdown passes last week. Going on the road at South Carolina, a team that could use a conference victory, especially at home. Something's telling me Arkansas is going to go in there and get the W.
Wow. See, I'm gonna go 3 weeks in a row since we started these videos. I'm gonna keep picking South Carolina until I'm right, and then I'll just stop picking them. I'm gonna go with the South Carolina Gamecocks in this one. They had a tough loss last week. I think they bounced back from the momentum of that. I just don't have any faith in this Arkansas Razorbacks team. I think will possibly be Brett Bielema's kind of go-away season. So if he doesn't win this game, I think you'll start to see strides of that happening. And I'm actually going to go with South Carolina. Hopefully I'm not 0 for 3 on these South Carolina picks because I've had faith in them and they've been letting me down. They're no longer a sleeper team to me no more because they're 3-2 overall. So they can no longer be a sleeper team to me in the SEC because they're 3-2. And now the final game of the SEC outside of the Alabama-Texas A&M game. If you want to see score predictions for that, just head on over to Tide1029.com to see all the staff predictions from Gary Harris to Ryan Fowler to Aaron Suttles to Travis Ryer, Wimpin Berry, and also Martin Houston, as well as me, James, Thomas Paradiso, and also Josh Smith, the producer as well. So, and Ben George as well, who's editing this video. So, the final game, Missouri and Kentucky, and I'm not talking about basketball because in basketball it's going to be a good matchup this year.
It's going to be really good.
Yeah, especially with Michael Porter going up against John Calipari's group of one-and-done players that he's going to have out there on the court. So that's going to be a good game in basketball, but we're talking about football here. Missouri's been struggling ever since that win against over Missouri State early on in the season where they scored like 72 points.
Man.
And they've struggled since then.
Speaking of basketball games.
Oh yeah, speaking of basketball games, the basketball scored, but that offense hasn't carried over into the other games because they have been struggling ever since they became SEC play. Kentucky, on the other hand, they had the hot hand. You know, they lost a tough game to Florida. But I think they bounced back in this game. Do you agree?
Absolutely. I'll tell you, you speak of sleeper teams. This Kentucky team, they're basically a few plays away from being undefeated right now. And Mark Stoops is building a very solid football program up in Lexington to kind of get the fans ready for basketball season, at least enjoy football season, and they're going to do so this week with a convincing win against the Missouri Tigers.
Mark Richt is like, we never think of that Mark Richt is actually a coach in the SEC.
Well, Mark Stoops.
Mark Stoops, excuse me. I said Mark Richt. Mark Richt is definitely not an SEC coach.
They got a pretty big game down in Tallahassee tomorrow.
Absolutely. I got my Marks mixed up. But we cannot believe that Mark Stoops is actually a coach in the SEC. Because it's like we ignore the fact that we mention guys like Gus Malzahn. We mention Coach Orgeron. We mention, you know, when we had Les Miles, he's not one of those names that we keep bringing up in the SEC, but he's quietly building something here at Kentucky finally with his football program. So I'm going to go with Mark Stoops coming out, the only Stoops coaching in college football right now, and I have him coming out the victory in Lexington, Kentucky against Missouri Tigers. I think Missouri's just going to keep struggling. I think they're possibly the worst team in the SEC.
No doubt about it.
I can't wait to see the Vanderbilt versus Missouri game, if that's even possible. I want to see a game with them two go at it, because that's possibly the
Too bad LSU's not playing Missouri this year.
Oh, good God. That does it for our Week 6 SEC predictions. If, like I said, if you want to go look at our staff predictions for Alabama, Texas A&M, head on over to Tide1029.com for all the staff predictions. Make sure you download that Tide 1029 app at the Apple Store and Google Play. I'm Marquis Munson, James Hardy with me. Thanks for tuning in to our SEC Week 6 predictions, and tune in next week. We'll have more predictions for you as well. Stay tuned. Tide1029.com. YouTube channel, make sure you subscribe for that as well. Thank you guys for tuning in. Roll Tide. See you next week.